There's a silence in suffering that the world doesn't understand, a sacred echo behind every tear that Babylon ignores. But the Rasta knows, pain is never empty. Behind every ache of the soul, every broken path, every night of weeping, there is a divine reason. Pain is not a punishment from Jah. It is a hidden message, a sacred fire, a calling disguised as chaos. In this life, especially for the conscious ones walking the Livity of Rastafari, pain is part of the journey. Not because Jah delights in seeing his children suffer, but because suffering births sight. It opens the inner eye, the one that sees beyond flesh, beyond ego, beyond illusion. When the world wounds you, Jah is not silent. He is shaping you. When Babylon rejects you, Jah is selecting you. When you're abandoned by man, it is because Jah is preparing to reveal himself to you more personally. You see, in this world, comfort can be deceptive. It lulls the soul to sleep. But pain wakes you up. It makes you seek. It forces you to cry out. And it's in that cry, that sacred, trembling cry from deep within, that Jah responds with clarity. Many have found their true selves, their true purpose, their true strength, not in moments of joy, but in the depths of sorrow. Pain uncovers what pride covers. It strips you of all that is false and leaves only what is eternal. So when a Rasta faces pain, he doesn't run, he reasons with it. He listens, he searches for the divine code within it. Whether it's heartbreak, poverty, betrayal, or sickness, each sting carries a secret. Each wound is a doorway, a lesson, a prophecy waiting to be fulfilled. This is the mystery we explore now. Why does Jah allow pain, and what lies beyond it? Come forward as we break down the veils and reveal the hidden purpose behind the pain. Pain is a messenger. When pain visits your life, it never comes by accident. It is not a random strike of misfortune or a cosmic mistake. Pain is a messenger, silent yet screaming with meaning. And the ones who listen, the ones who don't just numb it or fight it, but sit with it and reason with it, will find that pain speaks a language more ancient than words. It is the language of awakening. From early times, the prophets suffered. The psalmist David cried rivers of sorrow. Job sat in ashes, stripped of everything he loved. Even Yeshua, the Lion of Judah, walked a road of agony to fulfill a divine purpose. What does this teach the Rasta today? It teaches that pain is not the end. It is the beginning of something sacred, a call to rise, a key to unlock what lies dormant in the soul. Pain comes to expose what is hidden. It reveals false attachments, illusions of control, and the silent idols we worship without knowing. You think you're strong. Pain will test that strength. You think you're in control. Pain will show you otherwise. And yet, when you survive, when you don't break, or even if you do break but rise again, you become transformed. Not just wiser, not just stronger, but more real. There's a reason why the ancients said the wound is where the light enters. Pain opens a crack in the hardened heart. Through that opening, Jah pours in insight, humility, and healing. And once the healing comes, you begin to see that the pain had purpose all along. It wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to deliver you from blindness. In the Livity of Rastafari, we don't chase pleasure for its own sake. We don't fear pain as the enemy. We observe, we learn, we listen. When hardship comes, we ask, what is Jah trying to show I? That question alone can transform your entire experience. Suddenly, you're not the victim of your circumstances. You are the student of the Most High. Some of your deepest growth will come not in moments of victory, but in times of deep inner suffering. Because when your flesh is weak, your spirit starts to speak louder. When your plans fall apart, Jah's plan begins to unfold. So don't silence the messenger. Don't curse the pain. Instead, be still and listen. It might be carrying a message from Jah that could change your life forever. And remember this, pain never leaves you the same. It either hardens you or transforms you. The choice is yours. A true Rasta chooses transformation. Before Jah builds up, he breaks down. Before he anoints, he empties. Before he sends you forward, he takes you backward, not to punish, but to prepare. This is one of the hardest truths for the human heart to accept. In a world that values constant growth, constant movement, constant achievement, We forget that some of the greatest things are built only after something else has been completely destroyed. Jah is not like Babylon. Babylon builds quick. It piles bricks with no foundation, raises towers that reach the sky, and boasts about its strength, only to watch it all fall in one day. But Jah builds slow, he builds deep, and before he lays the cornerstone of your true purpose, he first tears down every lie you built your life on. He allows the collapse, the heartbreak, the job loss, the betrayal, the illness, not because he wants you to suffer, but because the old version of you cannot hold the blessing that's coming. If you try to build your destiny on pride, it will collapse. If you try to carry your calling with a wounded spirit and unhealed trauma, it will crush you. So Jah, in his mercy, allows you to break, to feel the fall, to come face to face with your nothingness, because only when you realize that you are not in control, only when you release the ego, the fear, the false identity, can Jah begin the true rebuilding. Look at the seed. Before it becomes a tree, it must first be buried in darkness. It must crack open beneath the soil. It must die to what it was in order to become what it was destined to be. So too is the soul of the righteous. You must pass through a season of crushing, a divine breaking, so the true self can rise from within. This is what Babylon never teaches. Babylon fears the breaking. It runs from the fire. It hides from discomfort. But the Rasta embraces it. Because we know the Most High is the master builder. He does not waste our tears. Every crack in your life becomes an entry point for his spirit. Every broken piece becomes a tool for his glory. So if you feel like your life is falling apart, maybe it is. Maybe it's meant to. Maybe Jah is shaking the false foundation so he can rebuild you on the rock of truth. Don't resist the process. Don't try to glue back what Jah is tearing down. Let it fall. Let it break. Let Jah do what only he can do. Rebuild you stronger, wiser, purer, like gold refined by fire. The breaking is not your ending, it is your sacred beginning. There's a fire in Babylon, a fire of trials, of oppression, of injustice, of spiritual warfare. But while Babylon lights the fire to destroy you, Jah uses it to purify you. The fire that was meant to consume you becomes the flame that refines you. Just like gold must pass through heat to shine, so too must the children of the Most High walk through Babylon's fire to become vessels of righteousness. This is the paradox. The same Babylon that tries to break your spirit ends up forging your faith. The same pressure meant to silence you only sharpens your voice, because Babylon misunderstands the Rasta. They see the locks, the chants, the resistance, but they don't see the spiritual strength that comes from walking through fire and not being burned. What Babylon calls suffering, Jah calls refining. The prophet Isaiah said it, "Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction." That means the affliction is not the punishment, it's the place where you are chosen. The Rasta walks through that furnace with head lifted high, chanting down Babylon, because we overstand. Pain is not a prison, it's a proving ground. Babylon throws you in the fire to test your worth, but Jah allows the fire to reveal your essence. Will you melt like wax or harden like iron? Will you curse Jah or call on his name louder? Fire don't lie. It reveals what was hidden. In the furnace of Babylon, when you lose friends, lose money, lose comfort, that's when your real self stands up. That's when your spirit becomes visible. Just like the 3 Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace, the Rasta walks through Babylon's heat with a fourth presence by his side. Jah himself steps into the fire with the faithful. The system may try to break you, but Jah uses the system's pressure to produce diamonds. It is through the struggle that you become sacred. When Babylon turns up the heat, with lies, with poverty, with betrayal, with fear, you must not run. Stand still in the fire. Sing psalms in the heat. Remember who you are. You are not of this world. You are not built to burn. You are born of spirit, not flesh. Babylon's fire cannot destroy a soul that has already been surrendered to Jah. In fact, the hotter it gets, the more the fake burns off. The masks, the attachments, the doubts gone. What remains is truth. What remains is faith. What remains is you, untouched by Babylon, untouched by ego, untouched by fear. So don't fear the fire. Babylon may think it's a curse, but to the Rasta it's a sacred refinery. It burns away the dross and reveals the gold. There are some lessons you'll never learn from books. No school, no church sermon, no wise man can teach you what pain can teach you. Some truths are too sacred, too deep, too personal to be handed down through words. They must be felt, they must be lived. And for many, wisdom comes not through victory, but through wounds. A scar is not a weakness, it is a testimony. It is proof that something tried to destroy you but failed. And every scar you carry, whether seen or unseen, holds a message from Jah if you're willing to listen. The wound teaches you things the blessing never could. It strips away the surface and shows you who you really are underneath. And when the mask falls, the truth rises. You see, when everything is going right, people often walk blind. They move through life unaware, ungrateful, disconnected. But when pain strikes, when the heart is shattered, when the dream dies, when the betrayal cuts deep, the soul begins to ask questions it never asked before. Why am I here? Who am I really? What is Jah trying to show I? And in that moment, the wound becomes the classroom, pain becomes the teacher, and wisdom becomes the reward. It was through his suffering that Job said, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." That means pain shifted him from hearing about Jah to seeing Jah. That's the power of wounds. They open your eyes to a deeper reality. They take you beyond religion, beyond rituals, and into relationship. Some of the wisest Rastas, the most humble warriors, the strongest empresses, are not those who had easy paths. They are the ones who walked through betrayal, rejection, loss, sickness, and came out with more love, more vision, and more understanding than before. Their wisdom was not purchased with money. It was paid for in tears. They carry the fire in their eyes because they've been through the furnace and found Jah faithful in the middle of the storm. So never curse your past. Don't despise the path that brought you here. Even your greatest wound may become your greatest teacher. Maybe that heartbreak was Jah teaching you discernment. Maybe that betrayal was Jah revealing who you shouldn't walk with. Maybe that delay was Jah protecting you from a trap. Maybe the sickness was a wake-up call to return to your roots. Pain teaches what peace hides. But here's the mystery. Once you learn the lesson, the pain no longer controls you. It becomes your strength. It becomes your wisdom. It becomes your testimony to uplift others who walk through similar darkness. You become the light because you once walked through the night. So give thanks for the wounds. They made you wiser. They brought you closer to Jah. They shaped the soul that now shines with truth.
Your struggle is the seed of your calling. Everything you've been through, every hardship, every betrayal, every silent night of crying out to Jah was not for nothing. None of it was wasted. Your struggle was never random. It was the soil, the breaking, the burial ground for something holy. And now it is time to rise and recognize. Your struggle was the seed of your calling. You see, Jah never allows pain without purpose. The Most High doesn't allow suffering in your life just to break you. He allows it to shape you, to carve a space inside you that only He can fill. And once you've walked through the fire, once you've been broken, tested, and humbled, you come out with something the world cannot give. Anointing. That is not a title. That is not a religion. That is purpose, forged in the furnace of experience. Every great calling is born from great trials. Moses was called while in exile. Joseph rose to leadership after betrayal. Yeshua began his ministry after being tempted in the wilderness. The Rasta too is shaped this way, not on the easy road, but on the narrow path, where pain is teacher and truth is reward. So ask yourself, what did your suffering prepare you for? Maybe you went through poverty so you could understand the cries of the poor and lift them up. Maybe your heartbreak gave you a deeper compassion so you could love others truly. Maybe your silence taught you to listen. Maybe your sickness birthed healing hands. Maybe your rejection was the voice calling you into divine selection. Jah allows you to carry pain so you can later carry purpose. You've cried tears in private. Now it's time to walk in power in public. You've struggled in silence. Now it's time to speak truth with boldness. Your story is not just for you. Someone else's freedom is tied to your survival. Someone's breakthrough is connected to your obedience. Your pain is not your prison. It is your platform. You did not go through all this to return to Babylon. You did not survive the fire just to sit in fear. You were prepared to rise, to speak, to serve, to shine. So the next time you ask, "Why me?" ask instead, "What now, Jah?" Because now is the time to walk in purpose. Now is the time to let your scars speak. Now is the time to turn your wounds into wisdom and your journey into testimony. Because every step you took through pain was a step toward your divine assignment. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. The struggle was your training ground. And now, you are ready. If this message stirred something inside your soul, then it was for you. You were meant to hear it. You've been called, shaped, and refined. Now, walk boldly into your divine purpose. Don't let the pain be wasted. Let it awaken you. Let it drive you closer to Jah. Subscribe to the Zion Way for more truths like this, real, raw, and rooted in the Spirit. Share this video with someone who's hurting, someone who's searching, and leave a comment below. What has your pain taught you? Let your testimony be a blessing to another soul. Jah bless you. Stay strong, stay conscious, and keep walking the Zion Way.